Hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. I kind of wanted to continue Kyle's updates, you could say. I did one like over 2 years ago, and then of course I've also been like publishing some small blogs here and there. And I wanted to start this year with also something new and but also something that is reminiscent of like what I used to do before, so kind of like a combination of both. And and basically these are gonna be like short or maybe longer, I don't know, we'll see how it goes, kind of like walking diaries, and that's what I was thinking how to call them, because like I'm actually walking outside, and it's gonna be like a short time frame where I can kind of share some general updates and what's been happening. And I kind of wanted to start this particular episode with sharing a little bit about kind of where I'm at the time. By the way, you will hear external noises, which is totally normal, but anyways, I hope they don't overshadow what I'm trying to say. So, okay, just to kind of give an update of where I'm at this point. So today we've got 3rd of February of 2025. In fact, I'm thinking to post this very, very day. And at this point, I'm actually living in London. Anyways, I've been sharing about it. I've been, putting posts and stuff, kind of explaining that and sharing bits and pieces. But at this very time, yes, I'm actually based in London, and I feel very, very blessed, you could say, in a way that at this time I actually can keep working full-time as composer and also as sound designer. I haven't done so much sound design before, but now there is more sound design work also coming along. So yeah, it has been a really, really insanely busy and very wonderful start of the 2025. In fact, just this past weekend we went to Chinatown with Fernanda, who's my wife. We got married in 2022, and that's a story for some other time. We just actually went to Chinatown and saw the Lunar New Year, which was incredible. We actually started this, you could say, tradition that we are trying to like get rolling last year when we were in Canada, in Toronto, and I don't think that I've shared about it at all. By the way, a huge truck is passing. Okay, it passed by, and now I can continue. So, yeah, we kind of started it last year when we went to Canada for just a month, and we met the New Year over there, and it was like a smaller scale event, but it was really, really sweet. It was really beautiful. And we kind of wanted to continue with that this year, but this time we went to see the parade, so that was something extremely impressive. I'll definitely be sharing some pictures, and it's been a really it's always amazing to experience another culture, and that's what I find so fascinating also about living now in 21st century in 2025, is that we just have such an opportunity to experience so many different cultures and mentalities. Now we have like, of course there were airplanes before, but I feel like it all becomes like more accessible, and what really draws me about cities like these, like London or like New York, because I live there too, is that you can experience a lot of different cultures, and it kind of like also opens up the mind and just gives a lot of also inspiration. And really, really love the whole Asian culture, and it will be something really wonderful to keep exploring in the years to come. So yeah, and then how did we kind of end up in London, and why were we, for example, in Canada? So we've been kind of on a quest recently. Well, I would say recently, meaning like the past couple of years, honestly. I don't even know which number should I put on it. But we've been actually on the search of a place to call home, to actually stay and to grow there, and to develop our careers. For me in music, and then for Fernanda in architecture, and and it has been a very adventurous quest, because we have been researching so many places, so many countries. I remember the summer of 2022 when we were still living in Ukraine. We were literally like going on YouTube and checking like videos about living kind of as an immigrant, like in all the like European countries, and we anyways were of course aiming more or less to like end up either somewhere in Europe, considering maybe going back to US, or maybe actually like Canada popped up and stuff, but it was also a matter of like, how can we actually get there and get a status that allows us to stay? So I lived through these events in Ukraine in 2022, all these war events, everything with that, and it was terrible. It was definitely a terrible experience. I wouldn't want to live that ever again. But I would say that one wonderful thing that did happen as a result of it is that there are now programs like for Ukrainians created that allow us to go to like different countries and get like it's basically kind of temporary residence, you could say, that you could get in these countries. And so the conditions to come to UK were to find a host family to make that happen, and then the conditions to come to Canada, and actually, by the way, was the same for US also. We also needed a host family. Then the conditions to go to Canada were just to apply. So basically the government was sponsoring that program, so it was kind of between the three of them if we're looking at English-speaking countries in the northern hemisphere, let's say, because of course we also have Australia and New Zealand on the southern hemisphere. And actually kind of Canada was the one that seemed like the most approachable to make it happen. And then and in Europe, actually, you could stay just like that as well, without finding a host family, and you could just like apply, and it's just like a government-sponsored program, which is of course, government-sponsored, and meaning that thanks to the people that are living there, this is possible. And but we anyways, the integration process, because living in another country that is not English speaking comes with like learning that language, and that takes a couple of years. So it'll take you a couple of years to like truly fully assimilate, and going to an English speaking country, we kind of like skip that gap, and we kind of can go straight to work and straight to what it kind of brings us closer to what we want to do. So and then last year, so after leaving Ukraine at the beginning of 23, we actually spent pretty much a whole year in Montenegro, which is also another story of how did we end up over there and living over there in the southern, in South Europe. Basically while we were there, we were researching, and then we applied for a Canadian program, and then it took way too long. And because it took way too long, we started to consider going to UK. And I have to say that we did try to come here before through like a master's degree program. So when we, through our friends, we found this very sweet, incredible host family that we're like so grateful to them that agreed to help us. We were like beyond happy. In fact, it was on November 29th, I even remember that day that we got the news about the fact that they agreed to like host us for a short while, but it wasn't about the duration of how long they can host us. It was just the fact that they are willing to go through a lot of paperwork to help us. And so basically that's how we did like the application and everything, and then we came here. And now we have this in our hands. We have this time. Basically, we have time, which is roughly 2 years now at this point, because it's already 25. But it was 3 years. So it's kind of until the start of 2027 that we can stay here and work here and truly give it a try and see how things go. So we don't know yet if it's going to be our final location. We are definitely, there's a lot of things that point at it, definitely, but I think a huge part of it will be to see if we can succeed here in our careers and prosper and get to basically what everybody wants, like what most people also want to get, which is like working where you really love to work and making it like a prosperous business, and of course being in the environment and being surrounded by people that are warm, and because so much of our reality is shaped by our society. So I think it's so important also to invest time to kind of properly build up that social circle around us. And so that, and of course being in a place that inspires you. So location, I think, is also very important. The location of like where are you, and London has been definitely a very inspiring place in many ways because it has so much to explore. There are 32 boroughs here. Every borough is like its own little world. It's mind-blowing, honestly. And and then I think, and then things like family and like getting a house and getting the like all of these kind of next phase in life. You know, you that people come to all at their own pace, and I'm arriving here at this point now where we kind of stopped moving around so much because we have traveled a lot. Like honestly, like I don't anyhow exaggerate by saying that we've been basically nomads for like, okay, you could say digital nomads for the past 5 years, really, because it was in 2019 that we left New York and then came to Ukraine and then stayed one year in Kharkiv on the very east, then 1 year when we had to move because of certain circumstances, and then moved to my hometown in Zhytomyrska Oblast, or you could say, yeah, like a region of Ukraine next to Kiev. And then living in Lviv the third year after that. That was in 2022. That's when all of these war events were happening also. And then after that, moving out and then going to live in Czech Republic. Actually, we lived there for 3 months before through a chain of events we had to go to, like we came to Montenegro and we lived there. Then we came to Canada in last February, where I started, when I started this message, I started talking about how we made it in Canada. So that was us actually going there, doing the paperwork in case we want to return to Canada. So we kind of have both residences right now. So it is kind of like UK and Canada. So we'll see how that turns out. And then going for 1 month over there, and then finally coming here to UK. And then anyways, we like still stayed just for a week with the host family. Then it was Airbnb, then it was looking for a place. So yeah, it's like it's been a long journey to finally like arrive to a place where we're like, okay, we're like that we're basically very, very close to like already deciding and saying, okay, this is gonna be it. And I think especially 2025 is going to be a very, very extremely definitive year of seeing if we do end up staying here. And so we are extremely excited to see how it goes. But I also have to say I'm also extremely excited to keep to really do my best, because I don't know, this year is the first time where we can like fully focus on careers as well, because I've been working, of course, as composer, and I've been doing that pretty much most of my time. I did actually have to work somewhere else in 2024. I was actually working at Yamaha in a music store here for a few months, because it was a bit difficult to work freelance doing composing in London, of course, because like the economy here is very different from the one in Ukraine, or the one in even the one in Europe is still more expensive. But yeah, I was luckily able to come back and return here. And yeah, and basically I think that I will finish this message here. I don't necessarily only want to, I don't know, explain everything and what, like, I don't mean to maybe necessarily only recap about like the life and where it has been and what has happened, but I also would love to share some other thoughts also that I've kind of like been that I've, I don't know, accumulated, you could say, over the years, on many other topics as well. So not only like biographical, you could say, or I just talk about this also, but also a lot of things about the video games and thoughts about that and how I got into composing as well, and what it's been like, that journey too. And if you are like listening, tuning in, I'm like open to suggestions too. So if you do feel like you want to, you would like to know something also specific, also let me know. But I did want to open this episode with sharing kind of where I'm at this point, so you kind of like understand the general perspective of things. So we're here, working, we're very charged up, like incredibly charged up to really succeed with our careers, like for me to build that brand of Kyle Misko as a composer, like known in the video game industry, and of course also in others too, possibly animation and possibly film also. But anyways, for now, just starting with video games. And for Fernanda as an architect to continue that amazing career that she has. She had such an amazing start with it, you know, and that's where we met actually in New York, like while she was doing like an internship. I was working for a photography company, so anyways, yeah, but after all these years, we're here, and this 2025 is about the career, and we are ready to do our best to make the best out of this year. Okay, so I'll finish it here. I wanted to keep it roughly 15 minutes, but somewhere in that time. Thank you for listening, and I'll so keep posted for, stay tuned, for the next one, and also as well I have, of course, some music releases coming up too, and that will all come in due time. So I wish you a wonderful day. Enjoy it, and we'll keep posted.